Okay, so as in the last video we have discussed about the Bose-Einstein condensate and fermionic condensate. These were both the states of matter. So today we are going with the atom and its structure. So let's write the matter first. We know that matter is made up of atom. Matter is made up of what? It is made up of atom. Atom. And atom generally means not to be cut. A means not. Tom means to be cut. To be cut. Atom generally means not to be cut, which means it cannot be cut further, which means it is an indivisible particle. It's an indivisible particle. Indivisible particle. Indivisible particle. But this is an old theory, alright? According to the new theory, it is divisible. So now in the recent theory, we have got to know that it is divisible. It is what? It is divisible. It is divisible particle. Atom is an indivisible particle. It was the old theory. However, according to the recent theory, we have got to know that atom is a divisible particle, which means it can be further divided. It can be further divided. So it is basically further divided into smaller ones too. It is divided into smaller ones. And those are basically known as fundamental particles as well. So those are known as fundamental particles. Fundamental particles. And what are those fundamental particles? Let's write those as well. We have basically three fundamental particles. 1, 2, 3. So the first one is electron. Second, proton. And last but not the least is neutron. Alright, so now let's see how to write them. Alright, so one electron can be written as, it can be represented with E basically. And if you know what, the charge of electron, we know that is what? It is negative. So we need to write here 1 since it is a 1 electron, minus sign since it is a negative sign, and it has basically mass which is very low, like 9.11 into 10 to the power minus. It is in minus. Alright, so it is very light. So because of that, let's write the mass of electron 0. Alright, mass of electron we have, but it is very light. That's why I'm not writing and writing it as a 0. So electron has what? It has negative charge. Let's write that. Negative charge. Now let's see how to write this proton. Proton can be written as P P, and since we have one proton, so 1, and it has positive sign. We know that proton has positive sign, so +1 P. With that, proton has a mass 2, all right, and it is little bit more than electron. That's why we write its mass as 1. It is just little bit more than electrons. That's why we write it as a 1. So proton has which charge? It has positive charge. Positive charge. Alright, electron has negative charge, proton has positive charge. Now let's go with neutron. How do we write neutron? So 1 neutron, since neutron has no any charge, wait. So let's write this as 0. Alright, and it has a mass 2. Alright, now let's see why neutron has no any charge. Neutron is neutral basically. So basically neutron is made up of 2 particles. It is made up of 2 particles. One electron which has negative charge, and one proton which has positive charge. So this one electron and one proton both are cancelled. These both are cancelled. That's why we have the mass, which is 1 plus 1 is it is 1, but the charges are cancelled. We don't have to add this. However, we have mass 1, but the charge is 0, which means it has no any charge. It is neutral. So let's go, like as I told you, it has no any charge. Let's write that first. No any charge, neither positive nor negative. All right, so we do say that electron is also known as Wood particle. How it is also known as Wood particle? Since Wood particle is very lightest as well, and electron is the lightest particle ever, so that's why it is also known as Wood particle. It is also known as Wood particle. It is also known as Wood particle. However, proton is little bit more than electrons weight, so that's why it is known as concrete particle. It is known as what? Concrete particle. Because we know that concrete particle has the weight little bit higher than Wood particle. That's why proton is said to have a concrete particle. Concrete particle. Last but not the least, neutron. Neutron is has a higher mass than these both particles. That's why we call it as a iron particle, because we know that iron has a little bit more weight than these both. Iron particle. Let's make arrows. So electron is known as Wood particle, proton is known as concrete particle. However, neutron is known as electron particle. Not electron, however, iron particle. So now let's see the structure of the atom. What's the structure of atom? Let's write here the heading. Structure of atom. Structure means, you can say, shape. So it is also known as shape. Basically, we are going to study the shape or structure of atom now. Okay, So now basically structure or shape of atom is made by the positions of electron, proton as well as neutron. Let's write this here. It is made by the positions of electron, proton and neutron. Alright, so their position matters a lot. Their positions matter a lot. So let's write here. As we know that electron is also known as a wood particle. So let's make wood particle here. This is a dish we have, and here inside this dish we have wood particle. We have what? Wood particle. Let's write wood particle. So this is basically wood particle. Now let's make proton. Proton, we know that it is known as concrete particle. So let's make concrete particle. This is a dish, and here we have concrete particle, which means proton, which means we have proton here. Concrete particle. Last but not the least is neutron, which is also known as iron particle. So let's make iron particle here, which are basically neutron. Let's write this now. Iron particle. These are basically iron particles. So we have wood particle, concrete particle as well as iron particle. Let's mix these all particles together in a single dish. So this is basically a single dish in which we have mixed all the particles. These are basically wood particles, and these are basically concrete particles, and neutrons, which are basically iron particles. I'm making with this color. So these are basically neutrons, which are iron particles. So now we have mixed these all. What do we have here? We have here, wait, here we have wood particle as well as concrete particle and iron particle as well. Alright, now this is the mixture in which we have wood particle, we have concrete particle, and last but not the least we have iron particle. Now let's take a glass of water. This is a glass of water. This is a glass of water in which water is filled. Alright, let's fill this with the water. This is water. Let's give water a blue color. Let's give water a blue color. This blue is fine. So we have given it a blue color as well. And this is what? It is H2O. Water. Now let's mix these all particles. When we'll add these all particles in the glass of water, what will happen? Just because of the low density of the wood particle, they'll float. They'll basically float here. They'll float on the top of the glass of water. And since then we have the protons, which are concrete particles, because of their density they will be in the middle. Alright, they will be in the middle. So these are basically protons, which are concrete particles, and just because of high density of the iron particles, they will be at the down of the glass of water. These are basically iron particles. So here we have wood particles, concrete particles, and iron particles. Let's write this here. Wood particles means electrons. These are electrons. Concrete particles, which means protons. Last but not the least is what? Neutrons. Neutrons. The iron particles. So now electrons have the lightest weight, then protons, then neutrons. Now as you can see, electrons will be floating in the water. Alright, in the top of the glass, they'll be floating. So let's make it as a floating particle. They'll be basically floating. Electron will be floating. Initially they will be floating in a single or straight direction like this. Like this. However, it has a negative charge. Alright, and proton, we know that, are in the middle and they have the positive charge. Proton will attract neutron, not neutron, however, electron itself. Proton will attract electron. When it will attract, you know what will be happen? It will curve its position. There will be an angular circulation then. Angular. Initially it had a linear momentum. It had a linear momentum. After protons force to the electron, it has got angular momentum. So just since because of angular momentum, it moves in a circular direction. Due to presence of the charge. Due to angular momentum, it changes its direction. It moves in a circular path. That's why electrons are in the orbitals. So now let's make the shape of the electron. Here we have circle. And here we have nucleus. Alright. So we know that proton as well as neutron will be in the center of the circle, which is basically nucleus. This is nucleus. However, electron will be moving in a circular direction because of the force of the proton to it. So we have electron here, which will be moving in a circular direction. This is basically the direction of the electron because of proton's force to it. Attraction. Alright, so this orbit is what we call the orbital or energy share, or the third name of this is stationary level. Let's write their names. They can either be said as orbitals or they can be said as energy levels or stationary levels. These are basically all names of the orbits. Alright, so this was basically about the atom and its structure. Basically we have discussed about the positions of the electron, proton and neutron in the atom. So this was all for today.